right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I stopped in front of in the middle
Yes,
of
you did.
today.
Yes.
Did you ever recover
Congratulations.
from that?
I survived. I actually forgot by the time meditation was over.
All right. Is
There
my
we
screen
go.
up?
Yep.
Okay, I'll play a little music. Oh no, it's gonna play the ad.
That face. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Two. Another class of Duskritina, or miscreant, is called the Narahanman, or the lowest of mankind. Nara means human being, and Anhama means the lowest. Out of the 8,400,000 different species of living beings, there are 400,000 human species. Out of these are numerous lower forms of human life that are mostly uncivilized. The civilized human beings are those who have regulated principle of social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed, but who have no religious principles, must be considered Narahamans. Nor is religion without God religion, because the purpose of the following religious principles is to know the supreme truth and the man's relation with him. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him, and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving the lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is all powerful. Whoever loses this chance is classified as Narahamam. We get information from revealed scriptures that when the baby is in the mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation, he prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship him alone as soon as he gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is a natural instinct in every living being because he is eternally related with God. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his delivered also being influenced by Maya, the illusory energy. It is the duty of the guardians of children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The 10 processes of reformatory ceremonies, as enjoined in the Manu Shriti, which is the guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving God consciousness in the system of Varnashrama. However, the process is strictly followed now in the part of the world, and therefore 99.9% of the population is Narahaman. When the whole population becomes Narahamam, naturally all their so-called education is made of null and void by the all-powerful energy of the physical nature. According to the standard of the Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Barahama, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. That is the vision of true devotee. Sri Natayamada Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master, delivered the typical Narahamans, the brother Jaji and Mahi, and showed how the mercy of the real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the Narahama, who is condemned by the personality of Godhead, can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. Sri Kantaya Mahaprabhu is propagating the Bhagavad Dharma or activities of the devotees, has recommended that people submissively hear the message of the personality of Godhead. The essence of this message is Bhagavad Gita. The lowest among human beings can be delivered by this submissive hearing process only. But unfortunately, they even deny giving a oral reception to these messages, and what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord, Naradamhamas, or the lowest of mankind, willfully neglect the prime duty of the human being. 3. The next class of Dushkritna is called Maya Prata Yama, or those persons who erudite knowledge has been nullified by the influence of illusory material energy. They are mostly very learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, etc. But the illusory energy misguides them, and therefore they disobey the Supreme Lord. There are a great number of Manya Prata Yamans at the present moment, even amongst the scholars of Gita. In the Gita, in plain and simple language, it is stated that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is none equal to or greater than him. He is mentioned as the father of Brahma, the original father of all human beings. In fact, Sri Krishna is said to be not only the father of Brahma, but also the father of all species of life. He is the root of the impersonal Brahma and Brahmatatman, the supersoul in every entity in his plenary portion. He is the fountainhead of everything, and everyone is advised to surrender upon his lotus feet. Despite all his clear statements, the Maya Prata Yaman deride the personality of the Supreme Lord and consider him merely another human being. They do not know that the blessed form of the human life is designed after the eternal and transcendental feature of Supreme Lord. All the unauthorized interpretations of the Gita by the class of Maya Pratyaman outside the preview of the Pramapara system and so many stumbling blocks in the path of spiritual understanding. The deluded interpreters do not surrender onto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, nor do they teach others to follow the principle. The last class of Dushkritna is called Ashuram Bhavan Ashtrita, or those of demonic principles. This class is openly atheist. Some of them argue with the Supreme Lord can never descend upon this material world, but they are unable to give any tangible reasons as to why not. There are others who make him subordinate to the impersonal feature, although the opposite is declared in the Gita. Envious of the supreme personality of the Godhead, the atheist will present a number of illicit incarnations manufactured in the factory of his own brain, such persons whose were very principle of the life is the decree of the personality of Godhead, cannot surrender onto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Sri Yamankarayan Al Bandru of South India said, "O my Lord, you are unknowable to the persons involved with atheist principles despite your uncommon qualities, features, and activities, and despite your personality being confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness, and despite your being acknowledged by the famous authorities renowned for their depth of knowledge in the transcendental science and situated in the godly quantities. Therefore, one, grossly foolish persons, two, the lowest of mankind, three, the deluded spectators, and four, the professed atheists are above mentioned. Never surrender onto the lotus feet of the personality of the Godhead in spite of all the scriptural and authoritative advice." Text 16. Kartu Vida Bahagantima Yaman Scrutino Ruja Artu Gishna Shor Atati Yami Ka Brarata Saba. O best amongst the Bharatas, Arjuna, four kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desired of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Unlike the miscreants, these are the adherents of the regulative principles of the scripture, and they are called scrutina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after the knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some kind of aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhagiti Rashtra Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anya bil asitu sansuyam yama karma de ama vartam aman kulyina krishna sil aman bhaktir utatam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of the pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with the pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahma and the localized Paramatman, and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, and the seekers of the knowledge are those who are in need of money and free of all material desires, and when they fully understand the material rumination has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, a devotee in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fugitive activities, and they search after mundane knowledge, etc. So no one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Text 17. Tasya Jami Nitya Yukta Eka Bhaktir Vishyati Priyo Hai Namino Tai Artam Ashna Sa Manya Pira. Of these, the wise one who is full of knowledge in union with me through pure devotional service is best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. Free of all contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is the same engaged in devotional service, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body. And when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonable Brahma and Paramatman. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be an eternal servant of God. So by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material immolation, and the man in knowledge all become pure themselves. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is full of knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in the pure knowledge of all the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of God is so protected in devotional service that material contaminations cannot touch him. Text 18. Udara Savra Ivati Jami tu Atimviya Mi Matam Ashita Sihai Utapman Man Ivantuman Gatim. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider verily to dwell in me. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he attains me. It is not other devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called mataman, or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee of full knowledge is considered to be dear to the Lord because he is his only purpose is to serve Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord says, Ama Bhagavata Paruhino Hai Ashtutra Io Diva Sabhupir Grashta Hiradado Yo Bhagatar Bhakta Yama Pira. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the heart of the devotees. The devotees do not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relation between me and pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. Stop here.
I think so. Thank you.
No problem.
You can hit stop share. There. Yeah. Thank you. That was start on 19. Thoughts, Sue?
Yeah, my first thought was that, not that I paid a whole lot of attention in religious instruction, but when I was there as a kid, this is, the last sloka, which I think says, you're all dear to me, is also said in the in Christian and in Catholic texts as well. You're all dear to me. It's just one little segment of you is more dear than the rest because, et cetera, et cetera. And it's said in such human terms because I thinking of myself as a parent of grown children, and then my mother, when she was the parent of grown children, she loved them all. And you could tell she really loved them all. But there were some that were dearer to her than others, either because they lived closer and she saw them more frequently, or they did something that she really liked, like they got married and turned out kids right away, which she was fond of because she got married and turned out kids right away, and it worked for her. Or for whatever other, my mother loved to talk and tell stories. I mean, loved to talk and tell stories. And, there were some of us like myself, when I was younger, I had very little patience for this. But my sister-in-law, who was one of her daughters by adoption, as it were, could sit for hours and listen to my mother tell stories. I swear, I said to Marianne, you are the daughter my mother never had and should have had, because, she loves you, So I keep on thinking of this, and the fact that it's presented in such human terms makes a lot of sense, because here is a God trying to explain to a human, even a very advanced human, what is reality as he is presenting it. And it's just very interesting. Plus, there's something that I just kind of love about the categories. Every religion has categories of of devotees or non-devotees. Every religion does this.
I'm
The
glad she read.
400, what are they?
What do you mean? What are the categories?
In the beginning, it was like 400 species of human. Then now I'm like, what are they?
Oh yeah. Are the species in the Gita determined by the level of devotion to
Yeah.
the Supreme Being? Because that's what it's starting to sound like.
Yeah, it seems like that's one of the categories of how devoted you are, but
Yeah. It would be interesting to see if there were more. By the way, I am reading a book by a science fiction writer who really, science fiction is such a limiting and kind of dismissive genre title. But this is called The Years of Rice and Salt. And it is, he pulls heavily on living the life and reincarnation and I don't remember what it's called, but the fellow beings that you run into more or less repeatedly in the bardo before you come back and go for another round, and what it means to live a good life. And it's really very good. And he uses so many specific, almost technical terms that I'm lucky. I'm reading it on the Kindle, so all I have to do is hold my finger over the word, and a huge definition pops up. But it's aligned with a lot of what we're reading, and it's rather interesting. So I recommend it.
What's it called? The time with rice?
The Year of Rice and Salt, and I will send you the title and the author.
Okay.
And then you can share it with people if you want or not. It's not short, and it's you have to pay attention when you're reading or you miss a lot, but it's really good.
I was glad that you read 18, because by the time you read 17, I'm like, but what about all the people? Like, it just, like, I liked what you said, Sue, but it feels very judgy, like good or bad. And if you're trying to, like, for me, I'm trying not to personalize this creature. I'm trying to, like Amanda says, keep it like the universal energy. Like, for me, it's the universal unicorn. So in my mind, there is no lotus feet to drop to, right? Like, it's just being a devotee to the earth, to humankind, I guess. Like, imagining everyone. Like, this is my starting point. I can't go past this right now. I can't go to one person. So I guess my question is, how are people, like, I get the idea of being someone in devotion, of someone being a devotee, a pure devotee all the time, even in distress, or even when they need to pay a bill, or when money is scarce. Like, I feel like that's when people suffer the most, when they need to put food on the table. But, like, how, if there's no one person to bow to, how am I supposed to do it? Like, I'm like just wondering. Or even, like, whenever someone's like, oh, I'll pray for you. Like, I love that people have that. I'm always like, I can't say the word pray because I don't pray. So is, like, a daily meditation my devoted practice? Like, and can I make it my devoted practice daily? Like, how can I make a devoted practice every day so that it's not just me turning to this energy? Maybe it's just having a gratitude practice. Maybe it's just sitting down and writing my 3 things every day, which I'm still doing. This way, I'm not turning to the universe unicorn every time I need something. Like, I'm just trying to think out loud how to develop this into my daily life practice if I'm not already doing it.
Don't you think that different people have different ways of doing it? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, it's recognizing that energy that's out there, everyone is that energy, and that energy is in everyone. And for me, it's recognizing that and trying to respect it as much as possible. while staying alive. I mean, you can give up too much too, but that's what it is for me. I mean, that means, according to all of these levels and some of the things that we've just read, I'm not going to be sitting on the lotus blossoms anytime soon, but for me, that's one way to do it. And it is not an easy way to do it, because there's some people who you sometimes feel like running over like they're sea slugs, but it's sort of like you're going like this, and you have to recognize that no, we might be going like this, but we share a great deal, and you have to respect that which you share.
Yeah.
Now that I'm done sounding like Oprah, I'll shut up.
I think like this meditation practice is like a form of prayer for me, in the sense that I'm trying to quiet my mind, but I guess like how some people will go and sit and pray during their day, maybe like I don't want to say a real pure devotee, because maybe I could be a pure, real devotee too one day, but like that's their form. So maybe mine would be maybe like a form of concentration practice. Whereas if I'm like, I want to, whatever the other word for pray is, I want to pray for you today because you're suffering, like how people do that for each other. Like I'm always like, I'm thinking of you. That's what I say, because I don't say I'm going to pray for you. I say I'm just going to think of you, and I do. Or like I'll dedicate my yoga practice. That's something I do often, where like I'll go practice and I'll say, you know what, today this person's having a hard day. I'll just think of them throughout my practice, and I'll send them like good vibrations. Like this is what I do. And then whether or not they know I'm doing it, sometimes I'll think of a random person and I'll text them after class, and I'll just be like, I just want to let you know I was thinking of you. I don't even tell them like, oh, I just dedicated my yoga class to you. Like they don't need to know that part of it. But I guess that's how I do it. I just like figured it out in my head. Okay. So there are ways that you can do this. You just have to make time, like make intention and time for it, where you're like devoting yourself to the universal energy, lotus feet, even for yourself every day, so that it's just like the meditation practice, so that when life gets hard and you need to really go to that thing, they'll be listening to you, because it sounds like this thing is a very judgmental thing, creature.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if I agree with or not, but
while you were talking, I had probably because it's in this book that I'm reading, but if you practice Islam, it's you pray several times a day, and you face in one direction, and so on and so forth. And it dawned on me, that's almost like resetting your mental capacities and refocusing your mental capacities along a particular framework or a particular direction, so that you're not only physically facing in that direction, but you're mentally facing in that direction as well. And then I had an immediate link with when we're in class, or when I'm watching a yoga video, or just practicing some yoga on my own. Down dog is like that for me. It's like this reset, especially if you do, I don't know, there's certain kind of poses that when I get into down dog, even though it was my most hated pose for about the first 6 years I did yoga, but when I get into down dog now, following certain poses, it is, you can literally feel everything resetting along your spine and along your tush and your legs, And I'm wondering if that doesn't also provide some kind of mental reset, whether I'm ignorant of it or not. But
yeah.
Well, you said it, Pam. Certainly getting out of discomfort allows you to have more mental focus. if you are physically uncomfortable in meditation, it is really hard to let the world go by and let it go, you know, in meditation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the last few days slash weeks, my knees have been crunchy. And I don't know why, because I've been moving and I've been walking. I don't know if I'm like it's too much, too little, if I need more like liquids in me. I don't know. So anyway, like sitting on the block has been not the most comfortable thing, whereas the whole year I was fine. So I've been like doing legs at the wall, or yesterday I did like a heart bench on my bolster. I think today I'll be able to sit. But yeah, it's important to be comfortable. I also don't know. I'm like, I was just thinking about this, and then we'll do breath work. But I feel like this is the longest I've gone without pausing, because when the ugly stuff starts coming up for meditation, I usually stop. And I feel like I haven't had a ton of ugly stuff coming up because maybe I'm working through it. But I also feel like maybe my body's telling me like ugly stuff's starting to come up, and it's my way of making an excuse that I don't have to meditate anymore because I'm not comfortable. But maybe like something's going on.
Yeah.
Like our bodies speak to us. So I feel like we've been practicing so hard to listen. And it's almost like we become a devotee to ourselves. We have to like listen to ourselves every day, like what's truly going on. So I'll see. I'll see what I'm keep sitting through it. But with that, we can take some breath work and meditate. All right, sitting up nice and tall, taking a few breaths in through the nose, out through the nose, beginning to lengthen the breath in, deepen the breath out, relaxing the features on the face and the shoulders. Bring your right hand over to your nose, closing the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Continuing on your own breath, adding locks and retention if it's part of the practice. I'm going to set the timer. When you're ready, you'll exhale out the left side and you'll join us. Bringing your hands to your heart center. Namaste.
Namaste, Pam.
Namaste.